I have no doubt to declare that this parable that we have just heard is the most difficult to interpret of all the parables that we find in the scriptures, and that Jesus loved so much to teach his people. This is difficult because it appears that Jesus is commending and encouraging dishonesty, which is not the case. But we, as we don't have the cultural background and interpretation of the times when these things have happened and the story was told, then we are bound to interpret and to reason this and put judgment to the manager in the terms of our times. If we just suspend our moral judgment on this man who is the center of the story, I think the main message that Jesus wants to give us today, we find it at the end of the parable. You cannot be the slave both of God and of money. Dostoevsky once said, we all need to adore somebody in our lives. If we do not adore the true God, we will adore a false God. So if we do not find our faith in the true God that we all believe in and live to the full this faith that we believe, then we are bound to be slaves of another God. It could be money, it could be work, it could be sex, pornography, it could be addiction, whatever. We will put that thing in our first place of priorities of life. And Jesus wanted today to open our minds and to tell us exactly how things should be if we want to truly be his disciples. A few years ago, the BBC commissioned a film, a documentary film, to be made in a monastery, Benedictine monastery in UK, in Sussex. And the BBC chose 10 non-Catholic, but Christian, some of them, even one of them was an atheist, to spend 1 month, over 1 month actually, I think it was about 6 weeks, in this monastery, living with the monks. And this was all filmed and then shown in different episodes on BBC. And these people coming different ages, from all walks of life, business people, teachers, professors, workers, different kinds of people. They all had, there were about, I think 10 of them, yes, 10 of them, they had a unique experience of this life in the monastery. If you analyze exactly their experience, the main message that they received was that they were impressed by the way the monks lived, of not really needing to take everything and instant gratification of all the things that came into their hands, into their life. They were pleased and they had peace in their heart to live a simple life. The simple life of the monastery and the control of the desires of the human person was the thing that most impressed them. And having said that, I remember that a couple of years ago there was an assessment of the last 70 years of our lifetime. We all more or less have lived through this. Me, I can say that this is exactly true of what I have seen through my lifetime. I am 76-year-old, and so I can vouch for all this that I'm going to say. In the 30s, that is right before the great Second World War, we lost it all. There was poverty in the United States and in most part of the world. We lost everything. In the 40s, we built it all. After the war, 43 had finished, then we start building back society and building it again. In the 50s, we dreamt it all. We dreamed of good things coming. In the 60s, we did it all. You know, the revolution, sexual revolution of the 60s and the yuppies and the rest of also the emancipation of women in the 60s. In the 70s, we wanted it all. In the 80s, we had it all. That was the actual cultural expectation of all, to have it all, and instant gratification of all that we wanted. That was the 80s. In the 90s, we started paying the bill of all this. And we are still suffering in paying the bill of all this cultural life that the world has gone through. But it looks to be a bleak assessment of society that we have been living. But now the good news. The year 2000, a paradigm shift is getting on in our life and society. There is hope. There is new spirit coming up. And people are finding now their own way of the spirit, a renewal, so to say, of the spirit, finding themselves to experience that life is not only the body that we carry, that life is not a consumistic society that we all live in, but to live full the life that we would all like to live, as Christ has asked us to do, live life to the full. Then we need to give the importance to the spirit of our life, that our body is made of the spirit, and also this spirit is important to live to the full the life that we live in. So at the end of the day, the bottom line of all is, today the message is being given that is more important to being than having. In the 80s and in the 90s, we gave more importance to having things and having all. Now the importance is more to being what you live, quality of life in spirit, in body and spirit. So the importance of money, the importance of work, the importance of development in the world, the importance of social justice, of reaching the justice in the world and the elimination of poverty in the world. These are aims that the world today is trying to achieve. I have just come back from Australia, 3 weeks absence, as you have noticed in the Mass. There I attended the United Nations Conference on the Development Goals and especially on global health. This is all nations today are giving much importance to the spirit, to the claim that all people must live the dignity of their human nature that God has given them. And by doing this, they need to receive from all people in the world their true recognition of living in their dignity by having decent life, decent living, decent work, decent health facilities, hygiene in all parts of the world, and not only in a small part of the world, the part that we are lucky enough to live in. We need to recognize that 3/4 of the world is not living as well as we are doing. And this is our responsibility, to raise up the standard of these people so that there will be justice in the world and there will be peace. Without justice, we cannot have peace.